Hey people, today we will be starting the process of creating a Delorean in 3D Studio Max. In order to get started, you're going to need to have the correct files downloaded. Here is it's named Delorean underscore your name. Update it with your name. And you're ready to get started. Go into 3D Studio Max and set your project folder. Set project folder and navigate your way to it. Mine's on my desktop. And again, it's called Delorean underscore E star, and I'll press OK. It will automatically ignore that first part. And what happens is every time you open up a new document, like if I go to File and Open, it will open up the two scenes that are in there. One is the reference setup, which is the prior set of videos that I gave you, and the other one is all about modeling. And this actually has all the references set up for you. Thank you very much. So if you open it, it will have all of the references set up for you, as you can see. So you've got the top, the right, the front, the back, and you've also got this guy, which are the basic specs and sizes for the Delorean. Now, this is a box that is the same width, height, depth as the Delorean, but I suggest just opening up the Scene Explorer or the Layer Explorer over here, and we'll just hide that size master. We don't really need it. And in regards to all these, I'm going to show you this process once, then I'm going to pause the video, but you want to grab each of these, right click, go to Object Properties, and select Backface Cull. So what that'll happen is when you move at different angles, each one of these guys will be see-through. So in other words, see how it's, unless I'm looking at it head on, it doesn't appear. So I'm going to pause the video and do the rest of these, spare you that experience. Okay, didn't take long at all. And when I rotate around, you'll see these start disappearing, and it makes it much easier once you start modeling. Another thing that I suggest you do to get things started is just move these guys back and out of the way. You might end up, in fact, you will end up moving these forward at some other time, but we don't need them at the moment, right? So I'm going to move that back out of the way for now. Okay. All right, our first step is going to be drawing a cylinder from the geometry panel, the create panel, and we're going to draw it right here beside this back tire. So here we are, drawing ourselves our cylinder, trying to guess the size, but we don't have to be exact. We're going to drag it out like so. There we go, there's our cylinder. We're going to be adjusting it, so don't worry about it. And for the segments, we want 16 sides, and we don't need any height segments, so we're going to turn that all the way down. And when we're happy, we're going to right click, and there we go. The next step is going to be rotating it. So we're going to click Select and Rotate, because we want to rotate this guy and stand him up. Now, before we rotate, I'm going to turn on angle snaps. It happened to already have been selected, but I'm going to click angle snaps. And I'm going to rotate this guy up. And he should rotate quite nicely as long as I'm on the right axis. So it looks like I need to be on the Y, and I'm rotating it 5 degrees at a time until it hits 90. Good. All done. Now, I'm going to try to straighten this out. I'm going to use the cube to help me here. So I'm going to click on the front, and look at that. Perfect perspective. I'm head on with the tire, and I can drag this guy straight up, just like that. Now, there's a few things I want you to consider before you move forward. Press T for top view, and let's go ahead and switch the location of this guy to over here. I'm also noticing something I want to change. The shadows are turned on. I'm going to turn those off. To do that, I will go to where it says user defined, because all this is customized by whoever created this file. I'll go to lighting and shadows, and I'll turn off shadows for right now. Then we won't have those to deal with anymore. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the front. If you press F, that's not going to work. That's going to take you to the front, yes, but it's not going to take you to the right. Over here, if you press right, then this will work, but the left's not going to work. So I'm constantly messing with this. So what I do and suggest, just use the cube, and you can rotate this around until you get to the right, and just keep using that to straighten yourself out. So I'm going to use the cube a lot. Alright, so I'm not done getting things set up at this stage, just so you know. There's some steps that I want to take, because I'm actually going to use this as a tire later, and all I really want is the face off of this guy. So let's go ahead and grab that top face. So here we go. I'm going to convert this into an editable poly. I could have also added an edit poly modifier, but I'll convert it to an editable poly, just like that. Open it up. Going to go to the polygon sub-object mode. Select this polygon, and I am actually going to make a copy. So I'm going to go ahead and press Shift, pull out on the X here, and that's going to give me this nice little copy of that polygon, which will become its own element. So it'll be. I need to detach this. So I'm going to go down to the polygon level. So after you pull this out, you need to go down and detach it. So I'm going to click detach, just like that. It becomes its own object. And I'll just call this Delorean body, because the whole body is going to be connected to this. Everything's going to start with this. And this guy right here, which I had selected, I'm just going to call tire 1, and I'm going to hide it. Not freeze it, but hide it, because I don't want to see it. And I'll just remember it's here. So if I go back to the right view again, you can see this is nice and lined up. And if I go up here and take a look, as you can see, I'm not having to deal with the rest of that geometry, which I don't really need right now. I know you don't fully understand yet, but you will in a minute. Go to the top view and take a look at this. Yeah, it's not centered up anymore, so I'm going to go to the hierarchy panel, click Effect Pivot Only, and then click Center to Object. I always get a line and center confused, but when I'm done, just press, when you're done, just press Effect Pivot Only, and there we go. So now I can just move this in close to where it belongs. And we can get started here in a sec. Alright, so now I want to deal with opacity and being able to see through this shape. That's going to help us. So I'm going to press M for materials, which should open up the materials panel. You'll notice that there's already some materials made in here because of the fact that this has maps in it already. But we'll just create our own material. I don't want to use a standard material. I'm just going to pick a physical material. Press OK. and just drag a physical material right out like that and drop it onto this guy. The Delorean body is what I named this because it will be the body of the Delorean. And I'll take the color and change it. So I'm going to change the color. Let's choose a base color. Pick whatever color you like. So I'll just pick a purple. Something that'll stand out. Yeah, maybe a yellow. I'll stop being picky. There we go. That works for me. Then I'll press OK. Now I just want to take the transparency down to something else. So I'm going to take it down to, yeah, let's say 30%. If you want to, you could drag this guy out here. Sorry. My mistake. Didn't mean to do that. So I set my opacity or transparency to 75%, and I'm working with this yellow. If I ever don't like it, I'll come back and change it. But make sure that you are showing the material in a viewport. So right here where it says show shaded material in the viewport, make sure that's clicked. Alright, so I'll close that up. Here we go, we got our tire. And I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. But I'm not going to drive myself crazy because we're not looking for absolute complete perfection today. Alright, so this is an editable poly. And I already know I can come back and get another copy of it if I want, because I have that tire already cut out. So what I'm going to do is start building the body of the vehicle now. Right, the first step is going to be to select the border all the way around this guy and then switch over to edge mode. Now we're going to select the uniform scale tool and hover and select the Y and the X. So this area here is highlighted. Hold down the shift key, and then drag out and you'll see this. Just a little bit, don't go too far. Just a little guy like this. And then let go. And there we go. Alright, let's do that one more time. Hold down shift. Drag this out even further. Just like that. Now we're going to go to the polygon subobject mode. And we're going to start deleting some unnecessary stuff. So let's get rid of these guys. We can turn scale off. It's probably a good idea that we just choose select object over here. That'll help out substantially. Delete this. I definitely think you'll find this next part interesting. We're going to go down to the vertex subobject level and start making some little minor changes. I'm going to take the move tool and move this vertex up like that. I'll move this one up as well. Then I'll move this vertex up like that right here. So we're just kind of getting everything all set up for the next step, which is going to be to select these three edges. 1, 2, 3. Hold down shift and drag them out like that. Hold down shift and drag them out just like that. Now we want to straighten them out. So I'll be doing this move quite a bit. where you have all the edges selected, then you select the uniform scale tool. You literally just move these along the X and you can straighten them all out just like that. Look at that. Slick. Now I'm going to do that a few more times. Over here, 1, 2, 3. Drag this out. And switch over. This time I pressed R and switched over to the scale tool. Or, yeah, it is the scale tool. I'm losing my mind here. Just click, control, click, and hold down control. See how the little plus sign pops up? And then I'm going to drag these out, shift, drag them out. Let me deselect that scale tool, shift, drag them out on the Y, just like that. And back to the scale tool. Just like this. Then I'll adjust this on the Y so they all straighten out. So now we're getting some geometry that we can actually work with here. And isn't this turning into something cool? So we definitely need to have a polygon here and a polygon there. So how do we get those? And this move requires that we hold down shift, drag this out till it lines up with the edge of this guy, and then we have to do a process called welding. So we go down to the vertex sub-object mode, and you'll see that these two are not connected. So what I do is I select the two of them, make sure they're kind of right on top of each other, and I'm going to go up here and select weld, and that will pop them together. Now I'll just do the same move again over here. So I'll go to the edge sub-object mode, hold down shift, drag this out, line these up, go to the vertex sub-object mode, and literally do the same thing. Click weld. Now if these aren't close enough together that they won't weld, but they're close enough, so we're good. And we've got some great geometry to work with at this point. And this is a good point where I could actually get away with deleting this stuff, which I don't need. Again, we'll shove a tire in there later, but you're definitely getting the idea. So in the vertex sub-object mode, I'll move this guy up. And we're going to continue to work with this geometry that you're seeing here to create the rest of the car. And our car is going to be flat, by the way. It's not going to... If you look at it from the top, none of this is angled in yet. We're going to make the car flat to begin with, and then we'll talk about angles later. But we're going to try and build in some smart geometry to make sure this thing works. So I'm going to go switch back over to the right view, and I'll do that this way. But just make sure you stay in that perfect right view, just like this. All right, so here's the next part. It gets a little bit scary because we go to the edit poly, the top level. We hold down shift and drag over, and we make a copy. We literally just make a copy, just like that. We're going to put that on the front of the car. We're going to connect these two. So as you can see, we're actually starting to get a car here. We can see the Delorean taking shape. And yeah, it's a little crude, but still, it's going to work. All right, so the problem is, how do we get these connected? How do we get this and that connected? And this is a big deal. Select either of them. Go to the element sub-object mode, because we want to add them together. And then go scroll all the way down and click attach. So I'm just looking for attach here. And then click on the other guy you want to attach. Boom. Now the two of them exist inside of the same space. So take a look at this. This element and this element are both inside of each other. If you don't do this, this next part will not work at all, and you will be a very frustrated human being. All right? So I'm trying to help you avoid that. This bottom half, I want all these to connect. So I will get the select and uniform scale and straighten these out. And yes, it works with vertexes the same way it does with edges. What a great move, right? Alright, so I want to bring these down, line them up. So the geometry should match going across here. And I think you can see that it does. It's not going to match, 100% perfectly, but it's a pretty good match. So between here and here, we should be able to do what's called a bridge. If you want to just test and see how well these things are going to line up, you can see that right here. So you can tell they're not going to be perfect, but this should work pretty well. So I'll select this edge, cross your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. This edge, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up and click bridge. Boom. There we go. So this has been completely bridged, and you can actually start to see the car really taking shape at this point. Okay, so here's where things get kind of fun and interesting, because we can start to mold the actual verts to the shape of the car. So look at that. I'm going to start pulling these guys down and lining them up with the car. Just like that. And so this vehicle is starting to take shape. Now, you'll also see over here I need to bring this up. This will actually this should flow pretty naturally once you start doing it. Just making everything fit. So probably if I take this all the way out, I'm going to find out that I need more geometry right here. But I'll try to make it work. Like I said, I want to do a really simple version of the car in this exercise. We're not going to try to make this... We're not going to try to get all the little fine little details. It's not the goal. But look right here. I do need one piece of extra geometry. So I'm just going to use the cut tool. And I'm just going to slice across here and grab the geometry I want. Just like that, and then click. Right click and I'm done. So that's the... I also could have used P-Connect, which is Paint Connect. That would have worked. But that's a great way to do things really fast. And then I'll make this little adjustment here, where it all goes in like that. And I understand it goes back out here, but I don't care. I'm just gonna lie. It's fine with me. I'm not going for absolute perfection, and that's really not the focus of what we're doing here. We're trying to get a real basic model put together. If you want to do a really intricate Delorean, this is not the tutorial for you. So I'm trying to keep it around 20 minutes to a half hour. So that's going to require a little bit of work on my part. So this top part of the DeLorean's a little bit more complicated, but I'm not going to get to that yet. Let's just pull out the back here like this. I'll shift the whole thing up like that, so I can make this back end kind of do what I want. I'll drag this out, and then this guy is going to go in just like that. Not bad, not bad. Starting to come together, starting to make visual sense to me. Again, I'm not describing everything, but all I am is I'm in the vertex sub-object mode. Now this is something that I want you to see. I'm going to take this edge here, right? And rather than... I'm going to try and line it up with the door on purpose. I want to rotate it. So here we go. I'm going to go up here and click on the... I'm going to select off all these edges and click the rotate tool. So the rotate tool is right up here. And I'm going to rotate it. And the rotate tool is right up here, and I'm going to rotate it. But before I rotate it, I'm going to set the rotate tool. I'm going to make a little adjustment to it. I want to do a local change. Let's go like that. Move this guy over. Okay, great. Scratch all that. Let's just do it the hard way. I'm going to take this and adjust it in like so. Take all these out like so and start moving them in. So I've got a little bit of a clean edge going on right here. Or an angle, I should have said. That matches up with the door. And I'll do the same thing here. Let me bring this in, this guy in. This will be helpful later. Okay, good. Alright, so this is really starting to take shape, as you can see, and look a lot more like the car itself. I'm not going to pretend that it looks perfect, but I'm making little adjustments to areas I think could use some improvement. But in the end, I'm probably overthinking things, and I'm going to try and stop myself from doing that and get up to this and start working on the next section. One thing I think I really do need, and I'm going to use a swift loop for this, is a swift loop right here. And like that. And I'll put another swift loop right here like that. And I'm going to right click, turn that swift loop off, and then start to build this up. You have to ask yourself this question. I mean, do you want this window? How do you want to go about working with this window, right? And I'm trying not to make this take forever. So I'm going to go to the edge sub-object mode. And in this case, I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm just going to go like that. Hold down Shift, pull this out. Just like that. Nothing complicated. Now I'm going to tilt this thing this way. And you can see where this is going, I'm pretty sure. And I'll adjust the vertexes a little bit, but not a lot. And we're kind of going the direction we want to go already. I'm going to pull up this direction. Then we go all the way up this way. Just like that. Okay, and watch this. I'm going to get the not the swift loop, but the cut. And I'm going to make a little, make sure you have a four-sided polygon right here. So I've got a four-sided polygon, so I'm good. So I can go back to the edge sub-object mode, and I'm going to get the move tool, move this guy down. I know that affected things a little bit in a negative way, but it'll work. Go to vertex sub-object mode, make a few more little tweaks. Like I said, I don't want to get too obsessive. I'm not going for the perfect vehicle, so let's get this edge and pull it out. There we go. Hold down Shift, drag it all the way across, like that. And of course, we can straighten it out. No problem. And we have learned to connect these whether you realize it or not. So I pressed R, and I'm just going to go like that and straighten this out. Cool. You know, if you're happy, I'm happy. This is not perfectly straight, but whatever. All right. So, this next move is probably not going to blow anybody's mind. Which for some reason I keep saying in this video, I think. If I'm remembering what I have said. But I can drag this up. In fact, let me drag this one up too. Both of these two. Drag them both up. And you can see where I want these to connect. You know, which is right there. Right there in this space. So I need this edge to move over. And I'm going to have to create some geometry that goes all the way across here. See that? So again, I'll get the cut tool and I'll just simply slice across. Just like that. And click, right click, and I'm done. And I can connect these vertexes right here. So this vertex, whoops, I didn't have that. I right clicked, but the cut tool was still on because I'm a goof. And I got to make the cut again because I pressed Control Z. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and get the cut tool back out. Do this one more time. Right, boom, right click. And then let's connect these vertexes. Make sure cut is turned off. And bring these vertexes close together. Even overlapping is good. Then you can select one and then click weld. You can actually, if they're not close enough, just bring a little closer. Make sure they're nice and close. And then select them both and they should weld together. There we go. And I'm going to select this guy too and weld him too. Him, her, it. Alright, there we go. And yeah, I know some stuff needs straightened out, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. It's just not going to be, it's just not my priority at the moment. So right here I'll bring this down. And I'll bring this piece down, and you can see where this is going. This is just going to be another piece that's going to fly out over here. And I'm going to let this be... I'm going to let this guy kind of end up looking like that. But here we go. Grab that edge. Drag it out. Hold down shift. Drag, 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 drag. Move this down. Keep on dragging. Move this down, and then you can see where the edge happens. So where the edge is, we have to make sure that this is good, clean geometry. So we're going to have to add an edge right there that's going to pop up and connect. So let's do that. In this case, I can use the Swift loop, and it'll make a loop that kind of matches up with the geometry of everything else. And we do have to cut through it all. There's just no way around it. And I'm going to drag this edge up. I think I'm going to have two edges here. Again, there's more ways to do this than the ways that you see me using right now. But hold down shift, drag this up. That's fine. Then I'm going to do it again. And drag this up. And there's a reason for this. I want to, like in my head at least, I think I need this little section right here in that middle row to make this work the way I want it to work. I'm not positive I need that, but something inside told me to do it. Maybe I was mistaken. I don't know. There we go. Nah, I wasn't mistaken. We need that space in between right there. This is the only way that it was going to be geometrically sound, was to do it like this. I'll select both of these this time, and I'll press weld. And look, it welded both of them together. You're probably like, why did you do that before? I don't know. I can't even answer that question, quite honestly. I don't always think of these things, you know, as I'm going along. But look at that. There is my entire vehicle. Now look at it from the top. You know, this is all you're seeing. That's all that's happening. So I'm going to make this really simple because we're making an imperfect car to start off with in this first lap. What I want to do is go back into the right view and finish this tutorial. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to select all the edges all the way around. So the border. See? Select the border. Press Alt. And then hold down Shift and go like that. Look at that. We have a whole car. We literally just drag out that entire edge. And we can have half the car. So from the top view, you might want to look at this and make sure you got at least half the car pulled out. Like that. Wow, right? Then there's a next move. Go back to the Edit Poly layer and go to the top level of this shape that we're working with. And this next move is a real mind blower. And that is just to add a mirror modifier. So go to the modifier list, select mirror, press enter. There's your mirror. Obviously it's upside down. But we're going to press copy and then pop through these until we see what we want. Which none of these are showing me what I want, and there's a reason why not. I should have said this before I ever applied this, but look at where the middle of the car is. The pivot points in a strange spot. So let's go to the hierarchy mode, click Effect Pivot Only, and Center to Object. Now this should actually work. Sorry about that. I'll leave that mistake in the video. And I'll switch on back, turn this on. And now, if we work through these, one of these should actually do the trick. Which one, I'm not quite sure, but one of them will. So I want to offset this. I think this one should do it. So I want to take this offset and move it over. Just like that. So it looks like it's the Z. And look, go to the top view. And there we go. We have an imperfect, but pretty cool looking vehicle at this point. Take a look. It's all there. I'm going to press M and get the material editor out here. I'm just going to drag a gray material on here so you can see this a little bit better. And just take a look at it. We've actually got the full body of the car. Alright, so that is an accomplishment right there. Now, on to the tires.